everybody? Shake Sensiano, host Jake Gino podcast here with my co-host, the multifamily mentor, the coach of chef, the father of six, the best-selling author, the G Daddy, Gino Barbo. Gino, how's it going?
Jake, I'm doing good this morning, brother. I know we had a rough morning. We'll get through this podcast. We'll let our emotions just flow, and we're gonna have a great time with the guest today because it's gonna be.
I think the guest was like already guilting us for being pussies about like whining before he came on in his like a little sly sort of way. So we're gonna see where this goes. But Gino, he may be right. He may be right. Step it up, Buttercup. Anyways, we got a very, very special guest today. Today's guest is a consultant, speaker, and expert in applied psychology for life and business. He's worked with the big names, the oil companies, Gino, BP, State Farm Insurance. These are like the top 5 industries. Okay,
They're not Jake and Gino, Jake.
No.
They're the real deal, brother. Right?
Well, we are commercial real estate. United Airlines. He's helped teams master sales, negotiation, and presentation skills across 6 continents. I didn't even know there was 6. So, without further ado, Jonathan Pritchard, welcome to the show.
Hey, glad to be here, man.
Well, let's get to know each other because that's what we were trying to do initially, or Gino was, and I wasn't letting that happen. So tell us your story. Let us know a little about yourself.
Yeah, I actually appreciate the hey, save it for the podcast because what drives me nuts is when people have the conversation off air and then on air reference the off stage conversation. So we were
And it's
talking
never
before
as
the
good
show.
the
You're
second
like,
time.
thanks for ruining the illusion that this is all organic, you weirdos. So you actually being like, shut up, don't say anything until it's rolling. I was like, you know what? Mad respect. I appreciate it. Yeah.
I try, untuck it over there. So you got to keep him, contained because he just wants to like get to know you.
I just want to get to know Jonathan. I want to give him a hug, and I resonate with Jonathan because he's a lot like you, Jake. I love you.
You don't know him yet, Gino.
If he's a lot like you, brother, I love him. All right. So anyway, Jonathan, let it rip.
Yeah, tell us about when you were 5, and then take us till today.
Well, I was beaten with a rubber hose, and that's no. Let's see. I actually had a great relationship with my parents. That's my number one advantage, I think, is that I had parents who actually wanted me, who always made me feel loved and
Was this
wanted.
the 80s or 90s?
The 80s. I was born in 83.
Now that's different. Not all 80s babies were wanted. That's a good thing.
Nope, not at all. And they were like, "Oh, you want to learn how to do magic tricks? Okay, that's cool. You're 13 years old and you want to learn how to juggle fire? Okay, that's cool. Go for it. Oh, you're 15 and you want to learn how to hammer nails up your nose? All right, I'm sure you've got a teacher that can show you the right way to do it. Oh, you're 18, you want to learn how to eat fire? All right, cool." So yeah, I grew up doing some really weird stuff. And let's see, when I was 13, I got paid $200 to do magic tricks at a company's summer employee appreciation picnic. And I was like, wait a minute, that's all I need to do to get paid $200 for an hour's worth of having fun. All right, cool. So I've been supremely
This was like
unemployable
1990?
ever since. Yeah.
That's
Well,
big
no,
money in
83,
1990.
96.
95? Still not bad cash.
No, that was real nice. And then like my parents would drive me up on the weekends to Asheville, North Carolina. That's where I live now after spending 20 years living all over the country. But they'd drive me up to Asheville. I'd juggle fire on the sidewalk, draw a huge crowd of people that were like, what
People
the hell
actually
is this
paid
kid
attention to that in
doing?
Nashville. That wasn't just like normal.
Well,
Because I've been there
right.
before, and that's surprising that people actually took notice because there's some weird stuff going on in the streets in Asheville. That's a joke.
Yeah,
Asheville.
Asheville with an A, not Nashville,
Oh, I know.
Tennessee. Yeah.
No, I know.
Asheville is a weird town, that's for sure. It's like somebody had a hippie farm that has horrible security and they just kind of wandered off everywhere.
I ended up going through there during a festival one day, and they were all the EDM kids running around and took over the streets. So the fire thing would have not really like made a difference that night,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's why it's a really good skill set to learn how to stop people in their tracks. And then yeah, I do a 10-12 minute magic show. And then, like, I would borrow somebody's $20 bill, tear off a corner, and be like, "You're gonna need this for later." Like, what the hell are you talking about? Put it in an envelope with a couple others, shuffle it up, and then they get to pick an envelope. I burn the others, and then, hey, look at that, you picked your money, and there'd be nothing in the envelope. And now everybody's going, "What the hell's this kid gonna do with that guy's 20?" Right? They're hooked. They're not going anywhere, right? Like, they're sticking around to see how this resolves, and then I would do the whole show, and then I would cut open a lemon that I was juggling at the beginning, and that guy's 20 would be inside the lemon, and then I'd pass a hat and be like, you could carry this wet, nasty $20 bill, or you could just, give it to me. I'll make sure it gets to a good home." And then that's how I would make party money.
So they how many times would they take the 20 back?
Not as often as you'd think.
Gino
Like,
would.
under 20% of the time, like 4 times out of 5, I'd get it.
Jonathan, where'd you learn this? But where'd you learn this skill set? Because back in the 90s, it wasn't open source like it is now. Everyone on YouTube can go out and learn magic tricks. Where did you learn the skill set? And how did you understand at such a young age that even back then it was all about grabbing somebody's attention? Because back then it isn't as hyper-focused as it is now. Everyone's trying to grab attention because there's so much noise out there. What made you cognizant of that at such a young age, and how did you learn the skill set?
Man, I lucked out. There was a summer program, and it was run by a dude who had been a professional clown and performer for 30 plus years, and he kind of retired up here in the mountains, and he was the one running the summer program. It was every Tuesday, Thursday, and I was a super shy kid. Like, I am very introverted. I would rather be alone. I don't get excited by being around other people, and like, they're exhausting. Please, no thank you. So I would rather be on stage in front of a large audience more than being at a cocktail party with 10, 15 people. Like, that's more exhausting to me. So he he was the guy who's like, "Oh, your uncle's taught you how to juggle. Now do you wanna learn how to juggle pins?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's awesome." Then spent a couple weeks doing that, and he goes, "Now that you can juggle pins, you can juggle torches. You just set them on fire, don't grab the hot end. It's easy." It's like, "Okay." So I saw his show, and then he was just like, "Just do my show. Like, you know it, you can do it verbatim." So then I realized, I was like, "Oh, I do his show, I get his laughs and his applause. It's not me putting myself out there. I'm just playing the part
Mm-hmm.
of Randall." And then it really was the recipe for success was somebody who knows how to do what they do the way they can do it, and you get their results. Oh, that's easy. So anything that I've done has been the result of kind of a mentor mentee dynamic where I just learn from the best and do what they do. And hey, look at that, you get their results. So that's the show that I was doing was mostly his juggling show that I added in magic tricks because I'd been interested in doing magic since I was 5 years old. And that was the beginning of learning the power of a script. Because if you have a script, you know exactly how to get from here to the end of the show. But if you know the script inside and out and something funny happens that you didn't anticipate, you can go play with that for a while until you start feeling like the audience is like, "Okay, I'm done with that." And then you go right back to the script and pick up where you were, and that's a seamless transition, and everybody's like, "Holy crap, he's so fast on his feet. He's so witty." Like, no, it's that I've done this script 1,000 times, literally 1,000 times, and I hear it in my sleep. That's why it looks so natural. So that's
Mm-hmm.
kinda skipping ahead to presentation skills training. I've never had a single client who said, "I regret doing it 500 times," because the resistance is always, "Well, I don't wanna sound scripted. I don't wanna sound stilted. I want it to sound natural, so I'm not gonna practice." Like, you're gonna sound like an idiot if you don't practice.
How many actually do it 500 times? That's like the thing. That's why people suck because no one does it 500 times.
Very, very few people, but again, I don't wanna work with the people who aren't gonna do the work. Like, I wanna work with
Mm-hmm.
winners who are gonna
Sure,
do the
I'm
work
just
and then
saying
help them
most
win
people are like, I
faster.
can't public speak. I suck. It's really hard to do. Well, you're not, who's it?
Way to train yourself to believe that you're awful at it.
Yeah, but
You
you're
you
not. No, but
you
you
don't
hear
wanna
this,
make
right?
yourself a liar, so you're gonna behave in the way that you tell yourself you're gonna behave.
But they also say I'm not Aaron Judge or I'm not, Mickey Mantle, whatever, baseball
Yeah.
player, Tom Brady, whatever. you didn't put the work in. Not that you have the affinity to become that good, but you could be a lot better and reasonable as a public speaker, but
Yep.
you won't even do maybe 500 times the bare minimum to, for you to be
Yeah.
decent, but you're
Yep.
not willing to do that.
How are those skills that you've learned though transitioned into, what you're doing today, whether it's speaking, whether it's negotiating, whether it's communicating, whether it's presenting, like those skills that you've learned, how have they transitioned and morphed into your skill set today?
Well, let me tell you. Okay, so I'm a mentalist, like by profession. That's what I've done. That's what's taken me around the world. It's a magician. So imagine like if you're a professional magician, you got your master's degree in performing and public speaking, in sleight of hand, all the stuff you need to know to be a professional magician. Right? Kinda like imagine all the business skills training that improv companies do, right? They're like, "We're gonna teach you how to think on your feet." Meh." Okay, sure, but what if everybody you were improving with are not professional improvers? They're the audience members you've brought up on stage who might do something stupid, and you're trying to do tricky stuff and they're literally right next to you, and you can't let them see the tricky stuff that you're doing. That's an order of magnitude more difficult than taking suggestions from the audience. So I've got a
Mhm.
huge chip on my shoulder with improv training. So there's that. But to your question, like how in the world does this translate to the business world? Okay, let's talk trade shows. They are less well attended nowadays, but way more expensive, and they've always been expensive. So there are folks that are betting all of this year's leads on this 3-day stint, and that's it. Now,
Mhm.
most people who are planning trade shows, their best strategy is let's make a gorgeous booth, let's bring in 4 of our best salespeople, and that's what everybody else does, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, let's run the numbers. One person can have about 4 conversations per hour that are of good quality. So, how many hours is the trade show open? How many people do you have in your booth? You should have one for every 50 square feet of your booth size. Okay, cool. Run those numbers, and that's how many leads you could expect. Or most people, their strategy for getting more visibility is let's give away a car. Let's give away an iPad. We've got a free giveaway. Here's this fishbowl. Put your business card in, and then we will make a drawing. We'll draw one, and you're the winner. Okay, cool. You get 500 people who want the iPad. 498 of them want the iPad and never want to hear from you ever again if they didn't win it. You've
Yes.
got 2 people who are actually like sales qualified, but as the business owner, you're expecting your sales team to follow up with all 500. Okay, it takes about 10 hours of follow up, chasing them to find out, oh, they were a dud lead to begin with. If you
Mhm.
bill at $150 an hour times 498 times 10 hours, you're north of $150,000 worth of wasted agency hours that you can't bill clients for because your stupid plan was to get as many business cards as possible. All right. Okay. So I help my clients at trade shows get 2 to 10 times as much sales qualified leads as they're used to while eliminating those 498 bad leads because I'm a booth busker, street performing, stopping people in their tracks, having something so interesting that they literally can't look away. You build this crowd. You stop 2 people, and then that person's looking at what they're doing, and you go, "No, no, it's fine. Hey, weird shirt. Yeah, come on over. Come in tight." Now you got 4 people, and then those 2 people are wondering what's going on, and you invite them in. "Yeah, crowd in. You're gonna wanna be close to see this. You're not gonna believe it." "Yeah, they're about to win free money. Yeah, come on over." You're like, "Free money? Hell yeah, let me get in on this." So now you've got 20 people crowded around, and then you start your 10-minute business presentation, which is an interactive mind reading show that weaves in the marketing messaging of the client but you're having so much fun that it's not a pitch, it's not a sales pitch. It's just something so interesting that they're like, "This is the best thing I've seen all day." And then right before the big moment, the big reveal, the, "Oh, most amazing thing," you know what? I just wanna take a moment to thank you guys for being here because we here at Widget Co. pride ourselves on this, and this, and if you're here at the conference for that, then you're gonna wanna talk to Carl and Stacy over there, but if you're not here for that, that's totally fine too. We've got a free gift for you that you're gonna use to cause a ruckus at the bar tonight, and everybody's gonna ask you where the hell you got it, and you're gonna tell them to come back to this booth and get their own. So take your free gift, go bring your friends back. We'll be here all weekend. But oh yeah, where was I? Big reveal. Holy cow. Everybody goes crazy. It's a riot and then hand off people that are the perfect fit. That's the street performing that I was doing when I was 13 years old,
Hmm.
combined with working with my client for the months leading up to the conference to nail down their messaging, sharpen it down to just three qualification elements to make sure that the CEO, the CFO, the chief marketing officer, the salespeople are all on the same page. So, doing that kind of booth training of here's how the whole machine's going to work, here's how you're going to do it. Like, that's all sales and presentation skills.
Do you find a lot of pushback from people as far as there's a lot of work involved in this? There's like for 500 times. And what's the most challenging thing about it? Teaching the person the skill set of actually, if they're an introvert, to actually go out and engage and then learn the skills. What do you find most challenging with the model?
The most challenging part is helping people understand that it is a skill because from just the pure performing side of things, and especially the mentalism, which is just using applied psychology, communication skills, and gumption to pull this stuff off.
Hmm.
But it looks like if somebody was psychic, that's what it looks like, telling people what their pet's name was when they were 5 years old and that kind of thing, right? And I can't tell you how many people after the show is like, "So when did you know you had the gift? Like, did you always know you had the second sight? Like, what's your thing?" And I'm like, "I'm not psychic. I don't claim to be. I don't have supernatural skills. A 5-year-old could do what I did if they had 35 years of practice, but it's a skill."
Hmm.
So, not letting people off the hook of believing that I'm special. "Oh, it's easy for you because you're psychic. Oh, it's easy for you because you've got the gift. Oh, it's easy for you because you're outgoing. Oh, it's easy for you because you're extroverted." Like, wrong, 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 wrong. It's not. It's a skill. What do you want? What do you need to be able to do to get it? Then go do that. You
Hmm.
do it or you don't. So thinking you're some special snowflake that, "Oh, I can't win because reason," well, that's gonna you start fighting to keep those limitations, okay, you're gonna keep them. So be real careful about what you say about yourself because you're gonna wanna not make yourself a liar. So you're gonna behave in alignment with what you tell yourself you are.
That's part of the psychology. You'd mentioned applied psychology. How does applied psychology play into this? And where did you learn about psychology? Did you go to school? Did you read books? Any kind of resources that you can share with us?
Learn to do a magic trick. And I'm saying that completely straight faced, literally. Learn to do a magic trick because a magician understands your perspective better than you do. The only way the magic trick works is the magician understands how you're seeing things, what you'll think the answer is, so that they can cut that out as an explanation. So you're left with no explanation besides must be magic. So it's a lot like being a painter. Like that's actually what my degree is in, is studio painting, like fine art, painting portraits, right? So if you wanted to paint a lifelike, fool the eye, realistic painting, the only way you're gonna be able to do that is you study light, you study perspective, you study anatomy, you're gonna understand how reality works. Only when you can perfectly paint reality could you paint a dragon perfectly? So if you can paint a realistic dragon that doesn't exist, it's because you're taking reality's laws and then applying them to a universe that doesn't exist to make it totally believable. So a magician is creating a reality that doesn't exist by making it indistinguishable from things that do exist. So the magician creates a context for you to make logical assumptions that are later shown to not be true. So you have to perfectly understand the perspective, belief structure, assumptions, beliefs of everybody in the audience before you could even start to pull it off. So that's why sales negotiation works best when you understand the motivations of the person you're selling to, the person you're negotiating with. What do you need? And it all starts with trust. Weirdly, people trust magicians even though they think they don't, because magicians tell you, I'm going to lie to you. And then they do. And that's what makes them honest liars, as another one of my mentors, James Randi, used to say. Right. So I invite people up on stage in front of an audience of 3,000 people. Public speaking is the number one fear on planet Earth. And I get them up on stage and they have a great time with it. So it's only by taking the time to put yourself in the shoes and mind of somebody else. And once you can model all of that perfectly, then you can start designing experiences that work with their beliefs that lead them to the conclusions that you need them to have. So that's the power of persuasion.
Does this have elements of NLP as far as like NLP with the phases? You have yourself. Most of us are just focused on ourselves and our emotions. Whereas a second element is you're focusing on the person. And that may be good. Some people go so far to have so much empathy and really, lose themselves in it. But so you're saying really look at the audience, look at the person you're trying to do a magic trick on or trying to negotiate with, try to understand completely their objective. And once you can understand that, you're catering to their objective and you're really trying to build rapport that way.
Exactly. Think of it this way. Okay. Magicians have been using the same methods for 10,000 plus years all over the world. Doesn't matter where you grew up. When that rabbit disappears, you're like, wow, that's amazing. Okay. All the psychological research and every business book is like, I understand the psychology of sales, the psychology of this. And what they're doing is referencing psychology research done in the 70s that you can't replicate, that was done on college freshmen. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't think that's a representative audience of humanity, right? Like when I was a freshman, that was the weirdest time in my life, right? So all the people who claim to understand human psychology are basing it off psychological research that's 50-ish years old that again you can't replicate. So it's not science.
Hmm.
So magicians have had 10,000 plus years head start on modern day psychology of understanding persuasion, communication, rapport. So if you want to learn all that stuff, don't read a book, learn a magic trick
Hmm.
because you'll s you'll start and people will be like, "That was not fooling in any way, shape, or form. It wasn't fun. That was the stupidest thing I've ever seen." And then you get a little better and people will be like, "Well, that's puzzling. How did you do that?" And then you get really good at it and people will go, "How did you know that? When did you know you had the gift?" And you're like, "There you go. Now I'm a good communicator. Got it."
It sounds as if you're investing in your first real estate deal and everyone's like, you're nuts. You're going to lose money. The second one is, oh, that's pretty cool. By the third one, they're like, how can I invest with you? So that's how life really goes. You're going to suck in the beginning no matter what. And then by then you're going to figure it out. What are some of your favorite magicians that you follow nowadays today? Who do you like today?
Ooh. Darren Brown is phenomenal. He's fantastic. He's in the UK. He's a mentalist unlike any other. He's just fantastic at what he does.
Anyone else?
Ooh, Alon New, he's great. He had a TV show a while back, on learning TLC, I think. I think that's what it was. Yeah, he's fantastic. He's in Vegas, performs quite a bit. Banachek is another heavy hitter. He doesn't do a lot of TV stuff, but he does a lot of corporate presentations and whatnot. He's one of the people that I was like, "Hey, how do you do what you do? How do you make a living as a corporate person?" And we've been friends for 20 years now. Yeah, goes way back.
Two guys I like. First one is I like Jin Yang. I don't know if that's his name, Jin. He's a public speaker,
Mhm.
great guy, but he also grew up in the magician world. And same with you. Not very. Considers himself an introvert, but his whole presentation, the way he public speaks, the way he carries himself, and his training, I think, is phenomenal. And one of my favorite shows on TV ever was The Mentalist. I mean, that show was complex. I mean, the characters were amazing, but Simon, the head guy, it was all about him not saying he was a mentalist, but he was basically a carny. He was basically in the circus, going around and being able to have just a perception and the wherewithal, and being able to be in a spot and just be able to read somebody, and it's incredible. And I love that show. I don't know if you know the show, but I think it's spot on. He's like, I don't have a gift. Would you stop telling me it's not? And he was a shyster until he wasn't. So I just love that show.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Like, really think about it. A mind reader isn't telling you anything new. All a mind reader does is tell you what you're already thinking. They're not
Hmm.
telling you the secret to life. They're not telling you the philosopher's stone where you could find it to live forever. Nothing. All they're doing is telling you what you are already thinking. It's so rare that that's why it's mind blowing. Most people are trapped in their heads. They're not good communicators. They can't help somebody else understand what they're thinking. So they're never really quite sure anybody ever really understands them. And then along comes a mentalist and goes, "So your pet's name was Fluffy." You're like, "Holy crap. How do you see me so clearly? I've never been seen like that. You're the only person that I've ever met in my life who has reaffirmed that I'm a thinking human being that's real." And that is so mind-blowing that they literally will remember that for the rest of their lives and tell their grandkids about it, right? So that's why the true power of mind reading is asking questions and being trusted with the truth. That's all it is.
Sounds a little bit like leadership, and to me, it really sounds like as if you're talking less and you're listening more, and you're just being really, really aware. That's interesting. Before we go to the short answers, any tips on negotiating? Because I mean, a lot of this plays into negotiation. As far as we're doing a real estate deal, we want to buy this house, we want to buy a car, we're trying to negotiate with our wives to go out to dinner. Any little like Jedi mind tricks or anything that Jake can pull over and just tell Whitney, I want to go to barbecue tonight. I don't want to go to your foo place.
Yeah, that's a challenging one. Um, all right. So the most dangerous place to be in is where you think you are, but you aren't. And
Hmm.
we experience that at night when we think the coffee table is over here and it's dark, but it's actually here and we stub our toe. It's super painful, right?
Hmm.
So you're going to have to ask why they're wanting what it is that they say they're wanting, not just address what it is that they're saying they want. If you didn't have anything that they wanted, there would be no negotiation. So the fact that there is a negotiation means that you do have something valuable that the other person wants.
Hmm.
And once you understand why they want what it is, you are better equipped and in a better situation to help them find more effective and creative ways of filling the need that they're trying to solve, maybe better than giving them what they're asking for. So
I'm going to
that's
say
why,
something super sexist though. So if you're dealing with women, it's really hard to find out the why. Because if you ask them flat out, 9 times out of 10, they won't give it to you straight up.
yeah, so
That's the
that's
challenge.
why
Like that's from a man dealing with a woman. You ask them like, "Hey, why do you want to go here?" they'll give you a bullshit answer a lot of times and not the truth, but you're expected to know the real why behind it.
Right, because most people don't know why they're doing what it is that they're doing, right? Most people don't. It's like our motivations are a black
So
box.
then you try to solve
And
something that you were told that's not true and you get further down the rabbit hole.
well, no, because the quality of your negotiation is dependent on the quality of your sales conversation. Okay. You don't just meet somebody and 2 seconds later you're in a negotiation. You don't just warp into a negotiation out of nowhere and like, oh, we find ourselves negotiating. It's the result of a conversation you've had about qualifying that other person,
Mhm.
helping them understand what challenges they're up against and all that kind of stuff, right?
Mhm.
So that's the place where you've got to discover what it is somebody's thinking. And you know better than they do because you've been in this situation 1,000 times more than they've been. So you understand that most people don't understand their own thinking. So through the bizarre things they say, you're going, "Oh, their real motivation is this." Because I've seen 100 times out of 100 times when somebody says this bizarre thing, it's actually this real thing, okay? So,
You need to be a sifter.
yeah, yeah. So that's why, like, in a sales conversation, you're asking people questions. So tell me, how long have you been doing this? Why are you thinking about this now? What have you tried before? Why didn't that work? You're testing their understanding more than you're trying to find out what you need because you already know what you need to help the perfect customer, the perfect client, right? So you're sifting them for whether or not they're a good fit. So they're telling you the surface level answer to the question you've asked, but you know what that answer means in terms of whether or not they're qualified to work with you or not. So they're telling you what they think you want to hear, and you're hearing whether or not they're a good fit.
I'll
So
give you
the
a classic
meaning,
example here for real estate because we have real estate folks listening to this. So you're negotiating a deal. You come to an agreement on price, and the next thing the seller says to you is, "Okay, I got to check with my accountant now." Every time a seller says, "I got to check with my accountant," the deal goes to shit because the accountant always finds a way that tax is going to be a problem. So there's a subconscious thing going on there that they might maybe really didn't want to sell.
Or yes, and or the accountant doesn't want to lose the business as well. So the accountant's not a dummy either. So the accountant's like, hey, I'm billing you 5 G's a year for this property. I really don't want to lose. I'm not saying
right?
accountants are doing that. I'm just saying the motivation behind that. And Jake, you're right. That's happened to us 3 or 4 times. But I want to ask Jonathan a hypothetical on something. You have a seller comes, they want to sell the property. You agree on a price. And all of a sudden, something goes into the contract, and all of a sudden, the price drops. Now, I mean, you as the seller, we're selling it. We want to sell this. The buyer wants to buy the deal. Very interesting. We've already known. We've worked on this for a few months. We're stuck and we're trying to read their minds. What is their motivation? Are they truly motivated that they want to sell the property? Are they going to come up in price? And that's the stuck point with a lot of real estate investors have because they don't really truly understand or are listening, but there's a gamble there. There's a risk there that they might lose the deal. And it really is market specific. If the market's really hot, sometimes it doesn't really matter because they have somebody else on, behind. But now markets have changed. Things have changed right now. It's harder to get debt. So you have an ability to do what you're talking about, Jonathan, to really be able to negotiate and use those skills. What would you say in that scenario? You have a seller who wants to sell, the buyer who really wants it, but then all of a sudden price was here. Now price is down here. Now the seller feels as if they've been violated. Like, dude, this is
Yeah.
not where I was. The buyer's like, well, you know what? This is what it is. How do we recompense that?
Yeah. I love enterprise level sales. I love it with an unholy passion. It's my favorite, okay? Because sales isn't about getting somebody to say yes. It's understanding how many people could veto the deal. Those are the people you have to worry about. And most people who are new to sales are hyper fixated on the person who could sign this deal. And that's the only person they talk to. That's the only person they think about. That's just myopically focused on this person. But that guy's wife could be like, I don't like his shirt. We're not selling to him. And then you just lost the deal because of somebody who could veto the deal that you had no conversation with. So you get burned by that enough that you start thinking about who else could really screw this up for me. And now you're on the side of the person you're trying to work with, going, you know, I've seen these kinds of situations go sideways because the wife will veto it. So when your wife does that, how are you going to handle that? And that's called future pacing. You're putting them in a future situation that would ruin your deal and then coaching them on the right way to navigate that conversation so that the deal doesn't get lost.
You know what I call that, Gino?
What do you call that?
The Maeve effect. You know who Maeve is?
Yeah, she's in Mobland.
In Mobland.
She's a terrible
That's
person,
what he
bro.
just described there, the Maeve effect. So I'm going to start calling my wife as Maeve.
She steers it. It's incredible. Evil. That is evil. Like she's actually planting the seeds, and as it goes along, she's pulling the string, and you don't even know what's going on until it's too late, and you're like, "What the
Yeah.
hell did I just do?"
Right,
Actually.
exactly. And you think everything's going great and then for whatever reason that you don't know, right? So, how do you get somebody to be on your side, quote unquote? Well, you do have to understand their motivation. So, why are they trying to sell the property? Is it that they inherited it and this is an albatross that they want nothing to do with and their inheritance is tied up in this stupid thing and they just want rid of it? Is it that I've gotta move and I don't wanna deal with this? And right? So there are all sorts of reasons why somebody's going to sell. So if it's purely speculation and my job is to squeeze you for as much as I can, well, then that's gonna be a much different conversation. And that's why you could always agree on what's gonna happen, and then it falls apart in how it's going to happen. So everybody thinks the deal's done. We're like, "Oh, we're gonna sell." Oh, and one more thing, right? It's the kind of the Columbo close where you're just like, "Oh, I'm confused about one more thing." Blah. So then you think you're like, "Oh, we signed a deal. It's great." And then they're like, here's a couple footnotes we want to put in here. It's going to really screw you over." Right. So it's all in the terms and okay, how much am I going to get paid? How soon? How often? Over how much
Hmm.
time? Okay, you're dragging me out over time. That's more risk on my side. So the asking price is going to have to be higher. So it just kind of equals MC squared. The value of here's what it is, and you're trying to drag out the time, so then the risk is higher. So you're gonna have to pay me more to accept your risk of what, right? So
Hmm.
it's all about that. So when you go, you want this off your neck because you don't deal with all this kind of stuff. So I want to make sure that you're set up as best you can. So you accomplish your goals the most likely when you cooperate with me because I'm showing you the best path, one, two, three, to that ideal outcome that you have in your mind that's success. So, my plan for your success is a better plan than the one you had for yourself. Now we're in this together to help you win big. So it's
Hmm.
not that I'm here to win big, it's that my job is to help you win big. And by making you help like more successful at what it is that you dream to do, I get paid a lot of money to do that. And oh, yeah, that's what my kids need to buy groceries and eat.
Hmm.
So that's why being a mind reader isn't that I can read minds. It's amazing how effective I can be at understanding other people and then putting my skills to use to help them accomplish that. Because early in my mind reading career, it was the look what I can do that you can't. Isn't that awesome show? And that's interesting to the extent that you go, okay, that guy's special. Okay, he's smart, I guess. Doesn't help me any. I now know that somebody like him exists. Neat. But if I put my skills to use to make you look like the star of the show, that you can do amazing things that you didn't even know you could do, that's even more fascinating.
Hmm.
So the more I use my skills to set you up as the star of the show, the more people love my show because of seeing other people win.
Mhm.
So by being a bigger champion of other people, that's how you get everything that you want way easier, more dependably than I'm the awesome person in the room here. I'm the best. Look at how good I am. And people be like,
Mhm.
well, that guy's a douche. Fuck that guy. I don't want anything that he's doing. So if you help other people win, you win. That's it.
Uh-huh. Mhm.
So it's less the rock star approach and more of the champion encourager of the audience as the rock star that will win every single day.
All right, guys, let's take a quick time out to hear from our sponsor.
This episode of the Jake and Gino podcast is brought to you by Wheelbarrow Profits, the premier multifamily education community. Wheelbarrow Profits proof is in their results. Their members have closed over 86,000 units. That's over $5 billion in student deal volume. Are you serious about taking your real estate game to the next level? Do you have the confidence to take action? Schedule a call with the Wheelbarrow Profits team today and supercharge your real estate knowledge. Build lasting relationships through unparalleled networking opportunities. Obtain lasting knowledge on how to buy multifamily real estate with intensive training. Gain hands on experience through their live events with like minded individuals and industry professionals, all while experiencing the personal touch and family atmosphere that set them apart. Visit wheelbarrowprofits.com for more information.
All right, we are back. And Gino, you know I'm reading the story of the Home Depot right now. And the Home Depot almost never came to be because of the Columbo effect. One of the early investors, when they needed the money the most, came to Bernie Marcus and said, "Oh, but one more thing." And you know what he told him to do, Gino?
Fly the kite.
Go fuck yourself, man. He told him to beat it, and they got the money anyways. But it was the one more thing that pushed him over the edge, and he believed in himself, and he went out and found the money without this prick. And that guy would have been worth billions had he not done the one more thing and got into the Home Depot, and that
So,
stock would
Jake,
have
is
been.
it pride or ego? Is it the pride or in the ego that gets into that one more thing person where he said, hey, you know what? I mean, do I have to drive the ship? That's about psychology, knowing the person. Am I that much of a narcissist that I'm going to overplay my hand and I want to be the person, the man or the woman in this deal? And you're jeopardizing yourself by doing that. And most narcissists don't even know that they have that defect. And it's like, oh, crap. It's his fault because he kicked me out of the deal. Well, bro, we had a deal. You changed the deal.
Dude, he
I
actually
mean,
put him on the side of the road. They were in a car, and he put him on the side of the road.
yeah.
He had him get out, like he was like, "Get out of the car." It's
Wow.
cool.
And it's interesting that Home Depot guy is probably the guy saying about the that guy's probably calling the Home Depot guy a dick. Meanwhile, he's the dick. That's the interesting part
Later
of that.
on, no, they talked about it later in life, and the guy actually admitted to how much of an idiot he was.
Oh, it's pretty good,
Yeah,
actually. I'm
yeah,
surprised.
yeah. Not to spoil the book, this is one of many great stories, but I highly recommend the story of the Home Depot. All right, so I know I'm not going to get the answer I'm looking for, but I hope I do. Okay, so no pressure. Give me a tried and true strategy or tactic, a negotiation utilizing like magician like surprises in a step by step format, if you can. And then I'm just going to take notes here.
How much time you got for that?
How do you play Rachmaninoff? You just hit the right keys on the piano in the right order.
Yeah, like
It's
just give
easy.
me like the
Come on,
6
just do
steps
it.
that I got to do to surprise somebody in negotiation to get what I want. Come on, go.
Well, okay. So the magician
Because I think
creates
surprise
context.
is interesting in negotiation, right? And then based on
Well,
what you're saying, yeah.
it is, but it isn't. Okay.
Ooh.
Surprise in the context of a magic show is wonderful. It's what you paid money to buy a ticket to experience. You get surprise at a surgery, no thank you. You get a
Unless it's
surprise,
the
you walk in,
right effect, right? Like I didn't think I was gonna make it. Oh my god, he lived! Great.
you walk in on your wife with your best friend. That's a surprise. Surprise isn't always good. It's rarely good. Okay. So if you're going to surprise somebody in a negotiation, it better be a good one with what they want. Right. So weirdly, the best negotiations are the ones with the fewest surprises because surprise is uncomfortable. Uncomfortable might be confusing, and confusing kills deals. So it's the communication skills that you can use to tell a perfect lie that's indistinguishable from reality that you have to put to use to perfectly communicate reality.
I
Most
don't have
people
any idea what
think
you just said.
well, it's most people think, "I don't need communication skills training. I'm a great communicator. I talk a lot." No, you talk a lot. Nobody knows what the hell you're talking about. So, it's not that communication doesn't happen, it's the illusion of it happening when it didn't.
Hmm. You talk. You didn't
So
Hey,
communicate.
the Charlie Brown teacher.
exactly, exactly. So, folks can get to a negotiation thinking, "This is a great deal, th I'm doing something good for this guy." But they don't understand that other person's perspective, they don't understand that person's motivations, they don't actually hear what they've said, so they're negotiating against this thing that's not real. So that's why finding out you're wrong that deep into the conversation is a real bad situation, and you're likely gonna lose the deal because you never had it in the first place because you didn't understand why that person is talking to you in the first place,
Hmm.
right? So, it's being able to recognize that this person is in for a surprise because they just said something that tells you they don't understand what's going on, that will torpedo the deal. The best negotiations are the most boring. And you shouldn't be negotiating if you don't need to negotiate.
Hmm.
Negotiation is a last resort. Ideally, you've had the conversation, they understand the value, they understand that this is the best way for them to get everything that they want, and they're super clear about how all that stuff works. I understand all I need.
So when it's not clear, negotiations take place.
Right. Or they're not clear on how they can make it work. I do want it. I want to make it work. I'm in this. I see no path to success based on my current level of understanding. Now you're talking terms and you're good negotiating terms of the agreement, not what you're agreeing about. So we're agreeing to sell this, but you've got some cash flow issues. You're all tied up. So you're going to need more time. So basically, you're asking me to float that time. So I'm going to need more money on the back end when you do have more liquidity. So this is kind of a short term loan ish in the terms of the agreement. Now you're negotiating the best way to make this happen, not still convincing them to make it happen. So that's another issue is that most people start negotiating before they've sold the deal
Hmm.
and they negotiate against their own best interests because they think dropping the price will help incentivize that. Oh, let me give you more freebies. And the other person's like, well, let me see how many freebies I can get out of him because he seems to love cutting his own throat. Great.
Hmm.
So, rule number one, never negotiate against yourself. Never negotiate against your best interests. That's their job. Like,
Hmm.
don't do it for them, and only do it if you have to, which you shouldn't if you've got really good communication skills in the sales process and you've vetted them as a good partner, right? Like earlier this morning, I was talking with somebody who just can't afford it. They're just like, "Here's what I want. Here's the money I have to make it happen." I'm like, "It it won't happen. Don't hire anybody until you could afford it." And they're like, "Well, how am I ever gonna afford it?" I'm like, "That's a you problem. I don't
Hmm.
know. You decided to go into this business. You created the catch 22 for you," which that's the hard part.
Email us in the future if they ever pay and come back.
Yeah, no. Uh, it's
You
super
don't think
tough.
they will, or you don't want to email us.
No, no, it's that it's tough being told no.
You don't think they're going to end up ponying up.
Whether or not they do, they won't come back to me.
Hmm.
Very, very rarely, because somebody usually is like, "I'm hot shit, I'm amazing," and then you ask them enough questions, and they're like, "I don't know that. I don't know that. I don't know that. I've never done that before." Well, that's new.
Gino,
Oh,
sure, I can go buy a house in this different state next week.
yeah, what
That's an
how
inside joke.
tough could it be? You look, it's easy, you could do it, and you're like, "Wow, that's a dick thing to say, thank you so much for that," right? So, my favorite word is sprezzatura. which is the studied, careful display of skill as though it's effortless. So you can that's a magician. A magician is doing so much difficult stuff and making it look like it happens by magic.
Mhm.
So then people think, "Oh, that's easy." You're like, "Yeah, try it."
Mhm.
Right? So that's why, like, because we were talking about budgets and social media marketing, right? Because they were like, "Well,
The
I've
client,
gotten."
the potential
Yeah,
client. Yeah.
yeah, because they were like, "All right, I've got this practice. I go to networking events. That's how I get new clients. Then my clients refer their friends, but that's not dependable. I can't scale that. It's passive, and I have to grow. So I've got $3,000 per month to grow." And I was like, "Okay." So one of the companies I work with is a internet marketing agency. So SEO, PPC, social advertising, that kind of stuff. I was like, "Okay, you're gonna need $3,000 in ad spend
And that's been
alone
yeah.
just to get enough ads out there in front of enough people to get enough people coming to your website. Do you know your conversion rate of the website? No. Can you build a landing page? I don't actually I can't get my guy to respond to my emails." And I'm like, "Do you even own the website?" They're like, "No, I'm renting it for $200." I was like, "Did you go with, we build websites for this industry and we'll just take care of everything?" They're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Now you're seeing why that cheap deal is costing you a lot, because you don't even control your main sales tool, your main business tool that
Wow.
converts a visitor to a lead."
Is $3,000 even gonna get it done?
Hey, Jake, we weren't even that dumb. We weren't even that dumb when we started out. That's dumb level right there. I mean, like,
Right, but that's
wow.
that's what I'm trying to say, is that they pulled this number out of their ass of, "Here's how much money I think I need, because I'm completely ignorant of what success takes. And
Mhm.
now I'm gonna go talk to somebody who, this is what you do all day, every day. Well, I want $1,000,000 and I'm gonna pay you $5 for it. Go make it happen." I'm like, if anybody could do that, like, I wouldn't be talking to you. I'd be
It's
on
truly
You should
on
have
magic.
my
told him never
right.
you were that, but that's the problem. I was gonna say he knows you're a magician and he's expecting magic tricks.
Yeah, I don't lead with that, because people get so hung up on, like, "Why the hell do I want this stupid party clown?" I run a legitimate business, right? So I don't even bring that up. But that's why I was like, okay, you're trying to win Mr. Olympia, and you're asking me, what's the absolute minimum number of push-ups I could do and win Mr. Olympia? With that kind of attitude, you're gonna lose to the guy who this is all he thinks about and does, and this is his life. And you're
Mhm.
Okay,
trying to
leaving no stone unturned. Meanwhile, you're eating hot dogs and barely doing push-ups. Yeah.
right. So that's why I was like, listen, so that your maximum budget is almost barely enough to run enough ads to get you enough traffic to a site that's not designed to convert. So even if you did find some sucker on Fiverr to run those ads for you, it's not going to translate to more clients. So yet again, you're going to go the cheap route that's not going to convert into more business. So your ultra small ad budget, which is super expensive to you, doesn't even take into
You're
account how
not
much you're going to
competing at
have to.
that point, though. You're not spending enough to compete. You're wasting everyone's time here.
And you're not even hiring somebody who can pull it off. You're not even paying for the expertise, right? So that's why I was like, you're not in a place where it makes sense to work with this company that I'm, like, representing right now, right? So that's why it's like, watching that person backpedal is, like, the most heartbreaking part of it, right? Because it's like super strong kung fu. You're getting punched in the face. There's no believing your way
You don't
out
know
of
what this
this.
looks like. You suck, and this is not gonna work. We're not meant to be together. I gotta go. This is taking too much of my time.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I now understand how much I don't understand. I feel like a jackass for rolling in here and be like, I got money." And you're like, "You don't, though." And then just be like, "So how?" So that's why I was like, listen, our best fits are people who are already doing marketing, who understand, who at least have some dashboard of understanding how high off the ground their airplane is, and you're flying without instruments. Like, good luck. Yeah. And it's more expensive to do it the cheap way. That's the hardest part to get people to understand. They're like, "Why the hell are you guys so expensive?" I was like, "Well, how much is doing it the cheap way got you?" Because that's the other part of human psychology. We don't see what's not there. Right. So it's not just the money that they're burning, it's also the business they're not getting because they're doing their marketing so shitty that nobody wants to work with somebody like that. So their perfect client is looking at them going, "Well, this is awful. I'm never calling them." So they're not just wasting money, it's that it's costing them business that they never hear about because somebody who decides not to work with them isn't going to call them and be like, "Well, I was going to work with you, but I saw your shitty ads and then decided against it."
And we don't even know if the product or service that they have is good, right? Like they could have a great product, but they're just so yeah.
Right.
All right, real quick on this. I just because I want to know the difference in skill set between a comedian and a magician.
Very, very related. Very related. It's all about timing. It's all about understanding the power of a single word to change the effect it has on the audience. So, a lot of clowns are mad at magicians because, like, look how much they're getting paid for doing less than
Oh,
me.
I bet.
I'm juggling, doing all this stuff. And then magicians hate mentalists because magicians have to have those big old boxes and pay dancers and stuff and feed tigers. And the magician's like, "You're just showing up and you're just like got a whiteboard and a marker and you're making how much money? Holy shit." Then mentalists are like, "Oh, fucking comedians, they're making so much money and all they got to do is show up in sweatpants and be funny. Damn it. I wish I could do that, but I got to hide behind my tricks." Right. So it's kind of like the less stuff you have on stage, the more money you get paid. So it's very, very related. But that's also like a lot of folks are like, "Holy shit, if you why don't you bill yourself as a comedian?" I'm like, "I'm not a comedian. As a mentalist, I'm hilarious. As a comedian, you'd be like, 'That's an awful comedy show. I want my money back.'" Which goes back to the marketing of communicating the right stuff to set the right expectations from the right people who would love what it is they're in for. So marketing, one of my buddies, we did a combo show. It was all about the history of seances, and he did a 45-minute history lesson, kind of like a TED talk. And then I did an hour-long demonstration of the seance stuff you would see if you went to a seance in the 1860s or whatever, right? So we got a bad review. And then my buddy blew my dang mind. He was like, "They shouldn't have been in the audience in the first place. Something about our marketing didn't weed them out."
Way to take ownership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, we've got to figure out a better way to make sure that person never buys a ticket ever to this show." I was like, "All right, yeah, okay." So it's actually less about attracting the right person as much as pushing away the wrong people who would give you a bad review. Make sure they never even give you money in the first place. So your marketing should weed 99% of those folks out. Then your sales
Hmm.
conversation should be identified on weeding out those bad clients before they ever even pay you a dollar because I don't care how much they pay you. It's going to cost you too much in lost sleep, frustration, jump through hoops. And again, it's the clients that have the least amount of money who are the highest stake clients who can't afford to lose. So they're going to be writing your ass about their tiny budget, demanding you turn it into gold on their behalf. And like, oh, no thanks. So that's why you only want to work with winners who are used to winning big, that you could help win 2% more that turns into $1 million more dollars. You're like, let me go work with those clients
Mhm.
instead of the folks that don't have a budget, who can't afford not to lose, who are going to stake their children's mm, like pony money on your skills. I'm like, no, thanks. I refuse to
Mhm.
work with somebody like that. Nope.
All right. Best way for folks to get a hold of you.
I can read minds.com.
Man, how much was that?
$9.99. Somehow it was still available. I was like, yoink.
Good
Got
for
it.
you, dude.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah. I
you
nailed
may
it.
want
I
to you
nailed
may
it.
want to put that up for sale.
Oh, no, it's too valuable to me. Well, I used to have jonathanpritchard.com and I let it go and now it's camped for 10,000 bucks. I'm like, I'm not worth it. So that's it. But also nobody knows how to spell Jonathan. It's like J-O Nathan. You're like, oh, okay. It's not Jonathan, Jonathan. You're like, no, J-O Nathan. Pritchard. Good luck with that. So that's another element of good branding is making sure that it's difficult to misspell even when spoken. So no homophones, no weird spellings. I can read minds.com. Pretty clear, pretty easy, and it communicates my whole thing. But that's also why I help people with marketing, with branding, with sales, with negotiation, with presentation skills. It's all communication stuff. Communicating the right thing to the right audience. That's it. So that's why I help companies in so many different areas that look like different things, but it's all just a different context of the same thing, which is helping humans understand how they're going to win with me rather than somebody else.
All right, you ready for the weave?
No clue what it is. Surprise me.
All right, Gino, untuck it.
I can read minds.com started doing weird shit at the age of 13 with the support of his parents, sticking nails up his nose, juggling, doing magic acts. And then all of a sudden, as he got older, he's like, man, I can translate this into business, as Jake would like to say. All of a sudden, these skills really translate. I'm having a good time. I'm reading people's minds. I'm getting them up on stage. And then all of a sudden, I'm starting to help these companies out. And oh, by the way, I just want to work with the people that I want to work with. I want to work with people that I can show that there's value, because I'm going to let a little secret in on everybody listening to this. When somebody tells you it's about, I don't have enough time or I don't have enough money, those are the two excuses that are never true. To me, you as a salesperson have not conveyed enough value in the proposition, or there's some confusion there. And I think Jonathan has laid out just an amazing skill set today as far as being able to negotiate deals, being able to talk to people, being able to build rapport, being able to listen. These are all skills that seems like we've glossed over on the podcast, and it just sounds a little sexy to talk about it. But these are the skills that are not being taught. I don't think they were ever taught, and they're not being taught today. Nowadays, I don't know what they're teaching nowadays, but for sure in public schools, these are not being taught. And these are some of the skills that you need to grow as an entrepreneur, to grow even as a father. You know, you need to be able to listen to your kids. You need to be able to listen to your spouse. You need to be able to understand what's going on. And then when you want to translate it into the business world and into real estate, they're invaluable. Understanding what the other side is going to do, why they're buying this or why they're selling this deal, and understanding their motivations. Get out of yourself and get into the mind of others. Thanks, Jonathan.
You understand me.
I do, my friend.
You complete me. All right, guys. As always, we believe in buying deals for the long term. Think in decades. I'm Jake. He is the G Daddy, and we make it happen. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you.